think, all right. So let's start then. Does SAA open or no? Okay, welcome, dear audience. So let's start then. Oops. Does SAA open or no?
I think, Miranda, you go ahead. I think that's what I see.
Yeah, okay. So welcome, our audience, to our Toast Trainers and Coaches Advanced Club Center Stage, home of established and aspiring Toastmasters trainers and coaches passionate about learning and teaching online. Thank you all for tuning in. I am Miranda Rumi, your MC for today's Center Stage. For those of you who are new or visiting Center Stage for the first time, Center Stage is part of the Trainers and Coaches Advanced Toastmasters Club, which is set as a separate platform in order to give our members an opportunity to start speaking or practice to speak professionally. It is an opportunity for members to showcase their specialty or present topics that they are passionate about. This can be anything from experiences to lessons to stories that our members would like to share with us, all important and invaluable takeaways for us all. The Center Stage session is made up of 3 parts: speech presentation, Q&A, and speech evaluation. The speech and Q&A is live streamed to YouTube, while the speech evaluation will be a Toastmasters edition, optional for the audience. For today's Center Stage, we have distinguished Toastmaster Agustinus Widjaya, a career realtor and an aspiring trainer and motivational speaker. Agus will share his experience and learning on the arts of sales, which he thinks is an imperative life skill to have, as at some point in our life, we are all salespersons. He will be evaluated later by our very experienced Toastmasters, Heidi Rahman, and myself, Miranda Rumi. Agustinus has 15 years of experience in real estate and 4 years as Toastmasters that had him transforming from a timid and shy person to become a leader, and is currently District 87 Club Growth Director. He is the CEO of PT Scotia. He believes we need to understand ourselves better if we want to become a better or greater salesperson. In today's topic, we will have the opportunity to learn what makes a person succeed or fails in sales. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present to you distinguished Toastmaster Agustinus on Center Stage with the topic, The Art of Sales. The Art of Sales, distinguished Toastmaster Agustinus Widjaya. Let's give him a big hand of applause.
Thank you, Toastmaster Miranda. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests, I guess. Before we begin, please raise your hand in front of the camera if you are a salesperson. Raise your hand in front of the camera if you are a salesperson. Okay, I can see that not everyone is raising his or her hand. Perhaps you are not raising your hand because salesperson is not your job title. But the fact is, every job is a sales job. What we don't realize is that we have been selling all of our life, be it selling a reason to our parents to buy us a bike, or convincing our interviewer on why they should hire us. Everyone is a salesperson in some way. We may be a full-time salesperson selling a product or service. We may be a manager selling our team members on the need for a change in procedures. Or we may be a father or mother selling our kid on the benefit of eating vegetables. But we are a salesperson nonetheless. If we analyze our life, we will realize that everything is related to sales. When we were a kid, our parents were always selling us the benefit of studying hard. And when we grew up and became independent, we started selling ourselves to our friends, to our social media followers, to our colleagues, customers, and to our future husband or wife. See, selling is a part of our life. Several famous people also mentioned this. Zig Ziglar says, I have always said that everyone is in sales. Maybe you don't hold the title of salesperson, but if the business you are in requires you to deal with people, you, my friend, are in sales. As a human being, we always deal with people. There is none of us who are not dealing with other people. Am I right? So all of us are in sales. J.C. Penney also said that we are all salespeople. Selling is the most basic and fundamental skill required to be successful in life. Sadly, I have heard many people mention that they are scared to death of selling or they don't like to sell. Knowing that all of us is a salesperson, then we need to improve our sales skill. It is inevitable. Of course, we may not be the most effective salesperson, and that is sad because there are few skills in life more important than our sales skill. And today, we are going to improve our sales skill. The art of sales. Why art? Selling is an art. The outcome of similar effort may be different with different individuals. Whatever works now might not work with different customers. So many factors can influence the success or failure of the sales effort. Selling is not a science. There is no holy grail formula that definitely leads to a success without fail in sales. It is an art. We need to understand how to master the art of selling. By understanding as many factors as we can, we will increase our likelihood for success in sales. Today, we will learn one of the factors that can influence our success in sales effort. The factor is the difference between selling cheap products and expensive products. Let me ask you this. Type 1 in the chat box. If you ever bought something at the supermarket because a salesperson offered it to you, even though you don't need it. Let me repeat. Type 1 in the chat box if you ever bought something at the supermarket because a salesperson offered it to you, even though you don't need it. Type 1 in the chat box. Okay, some of you did. Yes, it also happened to me. One time, I went to a supermarket and a beautiful sales promotion girl approached me and offered me to buy an energy drink. This beautiful sales promotion girl starts promoting the future and benefit of that energy drinks. And she said, a busy and successful person like me could make use of this energy drink to stay active and energized all day long. I'm not a fan of energy drinks, and even though I didn't need it, I end up buying this energy drink simply because the sales promotion girl is beautiful. But if that same sales promotion girl approached me to buy a house or apartment, then I won't buy the house or apartment. Well, maybe if she is so super beautiful, no. I'm kidding. There is no way that I bought a house just because the salesperson is beautiful. So what is the difference in buyer's behavior when deciding to buy a cheap product versus expensive product? Here's the difference. Risk, trust, and time. When I bought an energy drink, there was no risk involved in my action. Even if I don't like the taste of it, I can live with that mistake. But when I bought a house, the more money involved, the more hesitant and cautious I will be. I will consider all the risks involved with that purchase. What if after I bought the house, the market fell and I cannot sell the house without losing plenty of money? What if after I bought the house, I found out that the neighbor is a bit crazy and causing me a lot of trouble all the time? Expensive product is riskier for us. What about trust? When I bought that energy drink, do you think that I trusted the sales promotion girl when she told me that this energy drink could keep me up and energized all day long? No, I don't believe her at all. But I bought it anyway. Now, when I don't trust a salesperson when he or she tried to sell me a house, I would never bought a house from someone that I could not trust. Trust plays a significant role in buying expensive products. What about time? When I bought that energy drink, it took me seconds to realize that the sales promotion girl is beautiful. And in that several seconds, I have decided to buy that energy drink. But when I consider buying a house, perhaps it will take months or even years for me to finally decide. I need more time to see the location, consider the price, to do some research on all the possible options, and to bargain. It took more time to consider buying an expensive product. Now, after we understand the difference between selling cheap product versus expensive product, let's take a look at the thought process of a buyer. Successful salesperson focus on the buyer. So we need to understand the thought process that buyer employ when making any purchase. And we must match our action and our words to match this process. In his book, The Anatomy of Persuasion, Norbert Aubuchon describes a 5-step thought process used by buyers. All of us follow this thought process when we are making a purchase. This is the 5-step thoughts. Number 1, need identification. The buying process begins when the buyer has unsatisfied needs. The second step is recognition of importance. The buyer realizes that the need is important, that he or she must act upon it. Step number 3, search for fulfillment. The buyer looks for ways to fill these recognized needs. For example, if we are bored, we may go to a supermarket and spend a few minutes searching for something to drink. Or if we need a bicycle, we may spend several hours browsing through several models in the internet and perhaps visit a bicycle store to test drive it. Step number 4, evaluation of option. Once we have examined the options available, we study the information and match our needs against each option. Number 5, the last step, decision making. After considering the information and options, we make a decision. We may decide to purchase something, or we may even decide not to buy anything at this time. For example, after examining several beverages, we decide to buy an energy drink. Or perhaps after looking at bicycle for several weeks, we decide that the particular bicycle that we like, Brompton, is too expensive for us right now. By recognizing this process and incorporating it into our communications, we will have a stronger chance of persuading someone to buy our product. Now, what is the difference in this thought process between buying cheap product versus expensive product? When I bought an energy drink from a sales promotion girl, I didn't think much and might skip all the thought process and jump into the decision making. But when purchasing expensive product, each of these steps is more pronounced and prolonged. Let's say a salesperson approached me to offer a nice house in a nice location. At that time, I might not have any intent to buy a house. But then one day, my wife said that she wanted to move to a bigger house. Then the first process, need identification, begins. The process from the first offer to need identification might take some time. It could take a week or it might take years. And when I find that need is important, I will act on it. Then the second process begins. I will call the salesperson who once offered me that house, or if I missed his or her contacts, I will search for other salesperson. That is why, as a salesperson for an expensive product, we need to keep in touch with our prospective buyers regularly. Then the third process begins. I will visit and survey several houses in several locations. After I take a look at some options, then the fourth process begins. I will evaluate those options, which house fits all my needs, let it be in design, price, location, and neighbor. And after considering all of the options, then I decide which house to buy. This process might take months or even years to complete. As a salesperson for expensive product, we need to be perfect and not make any mistake. If we made a mistake during these prolonged thought steps, we will definitely fail in that sales effort. The mistake can be as simple as forgot to reply a message from the customer. Can be as simple as giving a wrong detail about the price or any other simple honest mistake. It could cost us sales transaction. Now, after we get a better understanding on cheap product versus expensive product and how the buyer thought process, what can we do to increase our probability of success in selling expensive products? Here are some tips that we can do to improve our chances to successfully sell expensive products. First tips, keep in touch. Remember, the thought process in buying expensive product might take years. That means the majority of our initial contacts with potential buyers will not end with a sales transaction. We need to keep treating them with respect. If they refuse to buy, smile, keep in touch, let them remember us as a good salesperson. One day, when they, for some reasons, identify a need for our product, they will remember us and reach out to us. This might happen in the next 1 month or in the next 3 years. Yes, 3 years. I once had a customer who called me after 3 years has passed since I initially offered him an apartment. And the transaction happened successfully after 3 years has passed. So, keep in touch. The second tips, have a good mindset toward objection. When we are selling an expensive product, trust me, buyers will definitely raise an objection or raise a concern toward our products. It is too expensive is the most remarks I get when I sell real estate products. 90% of potential buyers will say it is too expensive. Now, how to handle this kind of objection? First, we must have a good mindset. regarding objection. If we think that objection is a problem or stumbling blocks that will lead to arguments, then it will be reflected on our response. We will be defensive. The buyers will definitely sense it in our tone of voice or in how we use our words to answer the objection. So instead of seeing objection as a problem, we must see it as an opportunity. Whenever a customer mentions it is too expensive, we must think of it as a way of the customer asking us, is it a good deal for me? 10 years ago, I was selling luxurious apartment. The price was 3 billion rupiah. And not far from our location, there was another competitor's apartment with the price of only 500 million rupiah. My customer often raise their concern regarding this. They would say, it is too expensive. I could get another apartment with only 500 million rupiah, not far from here. Instead of being defensive and start arguing, I consider this as an opportunity. I will reply their concern by asking this. Sir, I noticed that you are driving a BMW earlier. Why did you choose BMW and not Honda Jazz, for example? They will reply that they choose BMW because it is more luxurious, more comfortable, high quality, more safety. And with that reply, I will use it as an opportunity to let the buyer know that our apartment is a luxurious apartment, just like their BMW, with many luxurious features and benefits. So have a good mindset toward objection. Third and final tips, be resourceful. When we sell an expensive product, we need to know our product inside out. We need to know competitors' product inside out. We need to be knowledgeable and resourceful. Remember, buyer will certainly compare our products with several other options. How do we take advantage of this knowledge? Be resourceful. Serve that buyer. Provide them with the knowledge of other options from our competitor. Tell them the price, the advantage, the disadvantage of those options. When we serve our buyer, they will respect us and remember us. So, unless the other option has a clear advantage over our product, that buyer will definitely choose to buy from us, who has been more knowledgeable and more resourceful to them. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, to be a good salesperson is an art. We need to constantly improve ourselves. Today, we learn only one specific factor, cheap products versus expensive product, and how a buyer reacts to it. We learn how to take advantage of the buyer's thought process. By constantly learning and understanding various factors that can influence our chance to succeed in sales, we will grow to become a better salesperson. Now, if you have any question regarding today's topic, please ask, and I will try to do my best to answer your question. Thank you so much for listening. Any question?
Well, thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Agus. I think we all learn a lot from this. Many tips, many very important and useful tips that maybe not so common unless we actually studied sales. And it looks like you had spent a lot of time studying it and internalizing and then practicing it. And with your 15 years, I'm sure this you have success, a lot of success, because real estate is not an easy thing to sell and definitely with a high price. So I really enjoyed that. And now I would like to ask the guest, we open it for question and answer. Anyone? Yes, Jai.
Thank you, Toastmaster Miranda. Firstly, thank you to Augustinus for sharing and for reminding us all that we are all salespeople selling something or the other to someone daily. So I love the overall message you had for us, and of course the tips you shared. Now, my question is to you, Augustinus. Zig Ziglar very often would say what he called AAFTO, which stands for always ask for the order at the end of your sales. And he was emphasized it so many times. Now, I have found in the culture I grew up in and I'm in right now in India, always asking for the order puts people off. They tend to typically tell you, well, I'll come back some other day. I'll think about it. It never works. So the question is, Augustinus, is this a cultural thing or is it to do with how good a salesperson you are? What is your thought on always asking for the order?
Thank you, Jai, for the question. If you remember earlier, I talked about the 5-step thought process from a buyer. There is several steps that a buyer need to consider before making any purchase. So for example, when we are only arrive at the 4th step, for example, when you are weighing on the options and you only did a number of options, and when you ask the order at that step, it will blow your chance of closing the deal. Unless you are noticing a clear sign that this customer agreeing that your product is the best option available in the market, unless you read that sign, unless you get an approval from him, verbal approval, yes, I think your house is the best. Maybe we can negotiate a little bit on the price. Perhaps that is the clue. Then at that time, only at that time, you must ask for the order. I have a customer. It is a governor of one of the city in Indonesia. At that time, I explained the apartment product to him. And after all of the thing have done, only in that one day, I didn't ask for the order by the end of my presentation because I never seen anyone come and immediately agree to buy at that time. So I keep quiet and looking for a sign. And then he gave me the sign. I'm serious. How do I purchase this product? And at that time, I realized, oh my God, this person is serious. He wanted to buy. So I must ask for the order. So how do you want to pay for this apartment, sir? When we get a clear sign, then we do the asking for the order. Otherwise, it will blow our chances. Thank you for the question, Jai.
Wow. Thank you. Looking for the sign. Now we know it's how important it is to read the sign. All right. So now we go on to our second questioner, Manoj. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, DTM Agustinus, thank you so much for a wonderful session on sales and marketing. Sales. I have one question particularly related to your industry. I understand because of the COVID situation, the real estate market has come down. In India, it is very much affected. And the sign of recovery looks like long term. What are the challenges? What is your opinion or advice to salespeople or in the sales reality sector? How to survive in this situation and also to succeed in this situation? What are the tips?
Thank you, Manoj, for the question. I believe you are asking this in the point of view from a salesperson to survive as a salesperson.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
The beauty of property industry is everybody needs property. It is a primary needs. So I have been in this real estate industry for 15 years, and we have met ups and downs during that period. And one thing is certain, even though in this COVID-19 situation, there are people looking to buy because they need it, because their son is about to get married, for example. And the seller also need to sell their products because their business is not going well. So I just closed a deal earlier this week. I closed a deal because of that kind of thing happen. So the best thing about the real estate industry is it is a primary needs. Everybody needs it, and somebody is in the needs of selling the property, and all we must do is match those needs and to close the transaction.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for that. And so we get is that it is a primary need. I think sometimes we forget. We think it's a luxury need, but it is actually a primary need. And there's always somebody who needs it and somebody who needs to sell it. And all we need to do, or as a seller in general, to match that need with what we have. Right? Thank you. All right. Anyone else would like to ask a question? So, okay, anyone? No question? Let me see if I can ask a question. Okay, I will ask the question. I'm not very familiar with that. And usually for me, I'm a bit, I guess, I don't know if the word is scared, but a bit wary with a big purchase like that. And I tend not to look for it because I think I must have a certain mindset about it. So I just take it easy, like buy something that is, or rent, or buy something that is easy, but never really looking for something that is a big property or property that I probably really, really want, right? And settle for something less. And I guess for somebody like me, what would be my chances, or what would be your advice? Should we always just go for the whatever we really want? Because I remember, a few years back, there was this guy who said, like, you can buy a property with very little little money down, or something like that, Agustinus. And how can I break from my fear about committing to that, or thinking that I'm not going to get what I want because, like I don't have the money, or not thinking in that, in that mindset.
Okay, thank you, Miranda, for the question. If you ask me the type that we can buy from very little money and make a property purchase, and we owe to the bank, it is up to the type of person how you perceive risk. For someone like me, I don't like risk, so I will never buy a property by using money from the bank. So if you have this kind of mindset that you don't want to put all the risk into a property, I think it is a good mindset. So if you, for example, if you have 1 million rupiah and the property price is almost 1 million rupiah, then I would suggest that do not purchase that property, because we need to, in a property investment, we don't put all of your net worth into one basket, right? Into the property. No, it is also wrong. So you put aside a part of it in the property, you put aside some of it for the cash flow in your business, and you put some of it in the stock market. You diverse your investment. But if you have extra amount of money, it is a good thing to put it in property, because there is some characteristic of that property that the other kind of investment doesn't have. So maybe you can try to gather more of your cash and spend several of it into the property investment. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I think you nailed it there, because if I look back, like how much money I guess I spent that could have been put into property, even a small one or something like that. But I could have started. But like I feel like I've I've given away, like for something that is, if I put all that money together, I could have had a house or something like that. So just I think this is something that maybe people can learn from a young age if they want to buy a property and thinking about it, because it is, I think it's very possible. It's just that I never learned it and never think in that direction, and thinking that you have to have a lot of money to buy, and sometimes it seems like you never get to that lot of money at once. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, that's the last question, and I don't know if you have any closing statement towards that, and any message for all the audience, maybe thinking about property or buying or selling or being a salesperson. What would you be? Yeah, please give us your
Yes, I
closing
will.
remarks.
Can I answer one more question in the chat box from Distinguished Toastmaster Harlina? I will be quick.
Oh, okay. Yes.
He's asking how risky is it to talk about the weakness in our product or services? You see, when selling expensive product like real estate, when we have a weakness in our product, it is better to be frank with our potential buyer. Because remember, trust is essential. Trust is significant in this kind of business as a salesperson. If the buyer didn't trust you, or the buyer found out about the weakness by himself or herself, not from you, your chances of selling that property to close the deal will be slim,
Sure.
or it can be
Bust.
a failure. Yeah, it can be a bust. So it's better to mention the weakness frankly. If it is the weakness of your product, it's okay. For example, the property has leaking problem. Mention it. It has a leaking problem. This is the problem. This place is the problem. If the customer appreciate that we are honest about it, and they will say that, don't worry, I have someone that can repair the leaking problem. If we are not, oh, relax, there is nothing wrong with this property, and the customer find out about it, and we say, oh, no, maybe it is a spillover for something, they will perceive it as we are not a trustworthy person, and it will damage our reputation and no transaction. So thank you, everyone. All I want to say is we are all a salesperson, and just like a Toastmasters, we need to keep practicing on our sales skill. Today, we only cover about one factor, the difference between selling expensive and cheap product. And we can keep on learning, studying more factors in the upcoming time. And if we know more about all of the factors, we understand more, and we surely will become a better salesperson, and it will be handy in our lives. So thank you for listening. I will give the control back to our Toastmasters of the meeting, Toastmaster Miranda.
Thank you so much, Agustinus. Wow, I think we all learned a lot tonight, and also I would like to thank all the audience for being so attentive and supportive and really paying attention. Agus leaves us with a lot to think about, with takeaways and lessons that we could apply in our own life, in our own selling, which is, I think, every day. Yeah, with that, I would like to close this this segment of the speech and the question and answer. I'm going to close the recording, and then we will go to our next session, which is the evaluation session. So thank you again, Agus. Thank you, guests, and you can stay on to learn about the evaluation sessions.